So, hello, my name is Clayton. A year and a half ago, I founded my first company. It's called Mixer Studio, and recently we launched our first app. Before, I want to give you a little bit of background and about my interest into blurring the line between the digital and the physical worlds, and how those two really interact. So, as I was a kid, I had this obsession with this little one-headed character. A character with no head, and as I grew up, when I was 12, it became not an obsession, but it became I had to draw him everywhere. And I started playing with Street Fighter, and I gave him poses, and I gave him damages and things like that. And it was just everywhere. It's not just in my notebooks. My notebooks actually became sketchbooks, and so actually just through doing that, I actually tried to make a game out of it, and I realized that I was starting to pull that character that was in my head and actually making it real. Then later on in class, I had to talk about what is real and what is fiction, and I was really afraid of talking in front of a public, and so I decided to do a video of me talking to me inside the video, and those two characters were actually interacting with the physical me, asking me to perform certain things like turning on the light and playing the video, stopping it, and things like that. So that was another interaction where the digital and the physical were sort of blending. And then later on, Later on, I was an animator at Sony Pictures and was tasked with animating Stain's horse. Stain's horse is the bad guy, and my lead comes to me and he's like, "Clayton, Stain is heading on to the battle. He's going to defeat the Force's Light. You have to animate him." And I never had animated a quadruped before. It was my first time, and so I started animating it, but it was really a challenge because it's a quadruped. It moves with 4 legs, and it took me about 7 days to get it. And then I called Brian, "Hey, I got it working. I got my horse. This is awesome. What do you think?" And he's like, "Clayton, you got a horse walking, but you don't have Stain's horse. Stain's got power. He's mean. He's up for blood, and he's gonna hunt. So get that down." And so I reworked the horse, and finally I started giving him behavior. So it was shoulders, and through little stances, his head was high, and finally the horse came to life, and it was not just a horse walking. It was actually a character. He was going for the kill. So really, that's what I think about 3D printing. It's just another way of bringing the fictional characters to life by immortalizing them into the physical world. So something very, very important about 3D printing is the customization. As a gamer, I played Diablo 3, but very quickly during the gameplay, it actually became more about the character creation platform, the building the character, than actually the hack and slash. So, for example, in Skyrim, I thought it was very important that at the beginning of the story they get me into this character creation platform where I could tweak everything from cheekbones to his eyes to his hairstyle and things like that. And even after spending a good hour doing it, my wife even chipped in to add a goatee and things like that. So I even had to balance between the different races and things like that. Doing that really gave me a sense of ownership of the actual avatar, and through the story I was directly connected with it, and my connection was really multiplied, my involvement in the game. So, I'm sorry. So how it started for us. Big passion for animation. Love the collectible toys from the Tamagotchi. I love the collectible toys. I love Tamagotchi. I'm from Europe, and having a Tamagotchi in the 90s and going to school without it is like going to school without a pants. So you really had to have your Tamagotchi. So we really wanted to bring those fictional characters, bring a fictional character to life, but inside a cell phone, and make believe that the character is alive, not only affecting it in your interactions, not only affect him physically, but also in its behavior. And we try to do that also by adding the sense that everything that's exterior to the cell phone, everything that exists into outside the cell phone, the physical world, affects the character. So we had the touchscreen ability, and then we added, it detects sound. So when it detects sound, it repeats it. We also have, if you shake your phone, he's like off ground. He's trying to like find balance. We also have AR, augmented reality, and then we thought, well, why isn't the best way to do it, to bring them to life, is actually to 3D print them. So that's how we came up with Monstermatic. The game is out. We released a few months ago, and it's a highly customizable, highly interactive monster creation platform that's fully integrated with 3D printing. Also, that means at any point in time, all the characters that you make inside the app are 3D printable. All the parts, we created 10 different monsters. Each of them was their like own swappable parts, and so you can swap like this guy's hat and swap it with these horns and the eyes and things like that, and really make it your own. And then you can play mini games with him, and then you can really like have like a real interaction with him. And at any point in time, from the app, you press the 3D printing button, and then you just enter like just the regular shipping information, and you get it a few days later. So how did we do it? It was actually really easy. There was nothing crazy about it. All we did was all the meshes inside the game are 3D printable. So we have about like 80 different meshes. All of them were tested, and we make sure that for one, there were watertight meshes. So that means that if you pour any sort of like water inside, if you take your mesh and you pour water inside, there's no leak. That the wall thickness was 3 millimeters, that the details could be seen, that the textures were good, and that in any pose that you choose and items that the character wears, he would still be in balance. It took us actually a while to do that, but I mean, all the guidelines were there. And we ran into a problem because our partner was actually Shapeways. Shapeways is actually handling, so we load the 3D the file onto their platform. They handle the 3D printing, and then they ship the little toy back to the kid a few days later. But at some point during production, they decided to change their guideline. The minimum wall thickness was not 3 millimeters, but it became 2 millimeters, which completely changed everything that we had done in the past, and we had to like remodel it. So that's a little catch. So we were not the first entering the 3D printing market in the mobile. There was also Makey Doll, which is it's a mobile app where you can 3D print your own doll, but they come up with a nice concept where it's not just 3D printed. They also add like cloth, hair, glass to the little dolls. They're about this big, and they're $200, which is really expensive. But they seem to be doing well in the UK. The other one is let's create pottery. Let's create pottery, and you make your own little pot, you bake it, you can draw on it, and then you load it on a 3D printer, and you get your little pot back. They were one of the first ones to enter the mobile and 3D printing market. So then I want to talk to you about the different services that are out there. There's actually the first one that we use is Shapeways. They're the biggest one. They have a huge community. We got involved with them in the first place because they had a very, very extensive library of like what to do when you start 3D printing. So that's how we got involved with them. Basically, they have a platform. Anything that you have, you load it on their website, and then you can they handle the 3D printing. They had tons of like different machines, so you can print on metal, porcelain, color, and different types of plastics. Then there's Sculptile, who's their biggest competitors. The big difference with them is that for us, we wanted to keep the 3D printing inside the app, while Sculptile, the API that they have, actually forces you to open up a web page, and so that kind of like takes off the experience. But they're both really great. Then there's FabZat, which is it's not a platform, it's only an API that you can plug in onto any sort of mobile game. You do have to make sure that all your assets are 3D printable then, and then the interesting thing that they came up with is not just 3D printing. They also have like T-shirts and other sort of merchandise that you can like get straight from the app. Also, you can choose like the different sizes that you want, and the price adjust accordingly. Lastly, there's Sandboxer. They did a Kickstarter 2 years ago, but last year, which didn't end up too well. But last year at GDC, they had one of the biggest booths and a lot of crowd around them. Basically, it's also an API. You get on their platform, and you can, as a developer, you can add on all the characters that you have inside your game, but also you can load in animations, and so then you can scrub through the animation that you, as a player, as a purchaser, scrub through the animation, lock the pose, and then order it into that pose that you want. So the thing is that we're like full color 3D printing, which is basically what it was back in the 1980s, was the 2D color printing, when the services just started with the color printing and started advertising in their windows. It was still really, really expensive, and not everybody had it. Right now are the color 3D printers. The first one starts around $80,000, so it's really expensive. And the other one, the biggest competitor from Stratasys, is $350,000, and both of them have like very, very different materials. One of them is like real plastic. The other one is more like a sandstone material. Yeah. So what are the next step into 3D printing and the big challenges? Well, we've been talking with a lot of brands about adapting our concept with them, and I think one big thing of 3D printing is actual customization, and IP is very, very restrictive. Usually big brands are very restrictive with their IPs and what you can do with them. So it's all about like convincing them like the plus that you can bring by letting users actually make their own character. And just recently, about 2 days ago, Hasbro and Shapeways announced a new deal where you can customize your own like My Little Ponies on Shapeways. And so the other big thing is about closing the loop. So the big players like Skylanders and Infinity came up with a game where you can you play your game, and then you go in the store, you purchase your character, you bring it in front of your console, and it summons it, which enhances your experience. So right now, the interesting thing, the real hot topic that a lot of people are talking about, is how you can actually 3D print a character from a game and then bring it back into the game and somehow like enhance the gaming experience that the player will have. There's several ways that we could do that with. One of them is NFC. That's called Near Field Communicator. So it's basically a small sticker that you place in the bottom of your 3D printed figurine, and when you place it in front of your phone, that detects it. The really nice thing about that is that the information from the NFC is located on the cloud, which means as you play with your character, his stats actually evolve with your gameplay. You can also play with a QR code, basically having a base, and then you have a QR code in the back, and then you scan that. And then Disney also came up, just patented what's called AppMates. It's they came up with a game for cars where you use your iPad as almost like a play mat. So the cars, as you drive them, they have like 3 little anchors onto them, and the iPad detects the actual placement of that too, and the rotation. So it actually really becomes a toy. So that's it. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Questions? How much does it cost you for like one 3D printed toy or whatever from your game?
So we sell them $25, and it costs us $15 to actually 3D print them. Now we're in very, very like low volume. We're selling about like 30 to 40 a month, which is not that big. But if you get in bigger, like let's say you would sell about 150 or 200, you could drastically reduce that cost by like 30 to 40%. Yeah.
So is Shapeways also shipping the product for you?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
They're shipping. Yeah, they're shipping.
Does your app have any other monetization besides that?
Yeah, we do. We have advertising and IAP, which means you know what IAP is. We have special monsters. Basically, we come with seasonal monsters, and all of those, like for Halloween, for example, we're preparing one right now. That's special, and it comes with its own mini games and its own items that people can swap with.
And if you can say, what percentage is coming from advertising in iApp versus the purchase of these?
Most of it right now is coming from the 3D printing. So this is still our biggest revenue right now. When we started developing the game, we were really focused on creating this Tamagotchi sort of game mechanics. When 3D printing came along, it just became the entire focus, and it took us like 9 to 10 months to actually get that process working smoothly and get the pipeline working. And once we did, we kind of forgot about the gaming mechanics. So right now we really have a character creation platform, but the retention rate is really low. So, yeah.
What's more than just creating your character about this game? Creating your character and then bring it out, and what's more than that?
So then we have several little mini games that we're constantly adding. I love the Garbage Pail Kids universe, so it's kind of gross and silly, and like that's what kids kind of like. So the idea is that at any point in time you can like play like sort of like silly games with them. So they get sick. They have like little pimples that actually grow on their body. You have to like go around them and pop them as fast as you can. Pierce the sits, basically. The other game is like a farting game where you have to repeat the farting sequences.
So you mentioned that once the figurine is 3D printed, right, and then the kids can customize it, and then you kind of get it back into the game.
Right.
But I didn't quite follow that scenario. What exactly is happening?
Well, if you're familiar, are you familiar with Skylander and Infinity? Those are two like. There's two big IPs out there from Activision and from Disney. Basically, Activision was the first one to start this. So you play your game, you have a PS3, you play, and then you can go to the store and actually purchase an actual physical figurine, place it in front of your console, and then once you have it, that console detects it and it summons the character that you just purchased with its new powers inside the game. So basically, the physical toys, it's called Toy to Life, is enhancing your gameplay. So right now, really what's really interesting is actually how can you, like, once you 3D print a character to actually bring it back and enhance it, just like Disney Infinity and Activision Skylander did. Yeah.
Will there be player-to-player action in the future for your app?
Yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, definitely. Not any like in a sense of like battles, but definitely in a sense of like interactions and playing pranks on one another. So just keeping in mind what we have. Yeah.